Welcome back to PR After Hours. I'm your host, Alex Greenwood, bringing you your weekly cocktail of PR and marketing tips that will help you and your business. Stick around, we'll get started right after these messages. Hello, listeners. It's me, Alex, from PR After Hours. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. And I wanted to talk to you just for a moment about the way I get this show right into your earbuds every week. It's because I use Anchor FM. Now, I've told you previously that I've been podcasting since 2006, back when we used stone knives and bear skins and a couple of Dixie cups and string. Anchor FM has really streamlined this and made it simpler for people who don't know the first thing about setting up a podcast or don't have, time to learn all the pro tools and stuff, because it's all right here. First thing it's important to know is it's free. There are certain tools that will allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. That's huge. Distribution is a big pain in the butt, to be honest with you, so it's really great Anchor FM can do that for you, and you're not paying hosting fees. That adds up every month. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place, so download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started, and be sure to join me in the virtual cocktail lounge on PR After Hours. So you've got high stakes content. You've got something really important that's got to get out there, and you're looking at the different vehicles that can transform that message that might get you maybe above the matting frenzy, the crowd out there. Or maybe you just need to build some confidence so that when you do have that product or concept launch, you're giving it your all and all your best. Well, that's why we're talking to Ryan Hildebrandt today. He is an expert on helping people get all the way up to a Tedx talk, but he does a lot of stuff in between too. And we're going to talk to him today here in the virtual lounge. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, thanks, Alex. Appreciate it, man. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, so just lay it on out there for us. Who needs you?
Yeah, who needs me? People with expertise that are a best kept secret, and especially if you've dreamed of doing something like a TEDx talk and you want to do it right. I've organized a TEDx talk. I've spoken myself, and I've got just over a dozen clients that I've helped get there. And what I don't do, and this is like there's a cool relationship between what you do and what I don't do PR, so I don't apply for a bunch of people. What I do is we kind of overinvest in the pitch because it's such a competitive platform. So for people that want to get on at this particular stage, and they've got it's a high stakes stage, right? I mean, you're risking not just rejection, that's not such a huge thing, but really wasting an opportunity, getting on this stage and having permanent evidence on YouTube that you did a bad job or that you're getting percent, right? That could ruin someone's reputation, like in the industry forever. So yeah, when you got a message that you want to get out there on a massive platform and you don't want to mess it up, people call me. If everything from YouTubers that are in their 20s to people that are in graduates of Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Oxford. I'm collecting Ivy Leagues. So yeah.
So is a TEDx talk, in your opinion, a crowning achievement, or is it a necessary goal for someone who is trying to become a definite thought leader?
So let me put it this way. There's of course good TEDx events and bad TEDx events. The quality doesn't matter quite a lot, and people can email me. I'll send them a picture. There's a stark difference, but let me put it to you this way. There's about 5,000 books that get published on Amazon every single day. That's an old stat. The number is probably double that now. There are, millions and millions of social media posts and whatever else. So basically anybody these days can go and take like a cheap certification and call themselves a coach or an expert in your field. Anyone can signal that. So then the question is like, what are you doing that people that are a beginner cannot do? Not won't do, because they could write a book or pay a bunch of people, pay a bunch of money to someone to go write a book for them. Someone who knows absolutely nothing about your field and theirs could still type out words. They can't get into Harvard. They can't get featured in the New York Times. They can't do a TEDx talk. They can't necessarily get a book deal. That's something other than like a vanity publisher. So the question is like, how are you standing out from everybody else who is on the crowd internet? And I think the way to do that is to do things that a beginner or someone who's not as good as you, something they cannot do. They're unable to do. And so I think TEDx is a really good signal of expertise, not the only one, certainly. I mean, you can go get published by Simon & Schuster or Penguin. You could go get a feature in the New Yorker or the New York Times, you could be featured in the Inc. 500, and you can do a TEDx talk. The cool thing about TEDx is it's one of those things that on the surface, it seems quite hard, but if you have the right strategy, I mean, for me, I'm getting 50% success rate. So if people apply to 2 TEDx events with me, one of those ones is going to invite them. If you do any other method, I've talked to people who've applied for literally hundreds of events, and they're professional speakers and they keep getting turned down again and again and again. There's more people that go to Harvard or that graduate Harvard in the US than there are TEDx speakers.
I am a professional speaker to a degree. It's not my sole means of work or anything like that, but I mean, I have been paid to go express my views and to teach people and all those things. And I had a friend who did a TEDx about 5 years ago, and I helped him with his a little bit just to work on delivery and those kinds of things. Sure. But I have always, frankly, just said to myself, probably not for you, pal. And I'm talking to myself, and right. And I talking to you right this moment, and I'm thinking, why have I said that? What is it about somewhat? Yeah. Yes, doctor. Let me lay on the couch and tell you. No, but I mean, what is it about people who are somewhat accomplished? I mean, I'm not saying I'm a superstar by any means, but I'm an accomplished speaker. I've been in business for 27 years. I have things to impart, but I've never looked at TEDx. Is there something about TEDx that you found that people find very intimidating, as opposed to just, say, me going to the digital summit and speaking at a marketing conference to 500 people?
Yeah, there are a few things. One thing that's different is a lot of speakers, they've grown from referrals, which is awesome. I mean, if you're doing a good enough job and people recognize that, they're going to refer you on, that's a good sign. You should keep doing a good job, right? But oftentimes that ask to say, hey, Alex, please come speak at this event, it gives you the confidence that you're ready for that audience. Whereas for TEDx, they're so bombarded with applicants, they, for the most part, don't have to go out and ask people to speak. And so the difference between somebody asking you and you proactively pitching that event, that's a hurdle that a lot of people aren't willing to go over. So that causes a lot of intimidation, right? That's one thing. The pitching thing, right? You could get rejected, whereas if you're getting invited, like, you're just never rejected. You're rejected from everyone that didn't ever talk to you, which is every other event in the world. But it's that's different. So I think that's the probably the biggest thing. And then another one too is people are used to seeing their mentors on there, right? So people like, oh, you've got their books and they're famous, they've got millions of views, and so sometimes what I hear from people is like, well, who am I to put myself in that realm? Like, am I kind of too big for my britches a little bit? Is this appropriate?
Imposter syndrome a little bit too?
Oh, hold on, 100%. And people have a high standard for themselves. I mean, it's like, hey, if you had a meeting with Obama, if Obama called you up and said, hey, like, we want to call you to a meeting, you would be nervous, but you would probably show up for that meeting, right? Yeah. Because it's a bigger risk or penalty to not show up, because you've wasted the opportunity by not showing up. But how many people do you know that have actively pitched Obama for a meeting? Like, almost none. Like, almost nobody, right? Because we think, oh, well, who am I? He would probably say no. It would probably be a waste of time. And then I would feel embarrassed that I thought to myself, I could do this. What an idiot I am. The reality is, though, TEDx is very much like a marathon. When you start training for a marathon, you're not ready for a marathon. Maybe you could run 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers. And that's a long stretch from a marathon is, I'm Canadian, so kilometers, okay, 6 miles, right? Okay, marathon's 26.6 or 2 or something like that.
I've only run halves. I can't, see, that's my problem right there, Ryan. I could do half a TEDx.
Well, so, and here's the thing about marathon training or half marathon training is the purpose of the program is to prepare you so that by the time 12 weeks or 16 weeks rolls around, your body is in condition to do that. And I think people, when you get invited for a speaking opportunity, when someone says, "Hey, Alex, come speak here. Our budget's, whatever." You're like, they're validating for you that you're ready right now. So it's easy to say, all right, I'll say yes. But if you've never experienced what a plan looks like to get ready to even apply to an event. I mean, for Tedx, I've had clients that have worked with other people, other coaches in the past, and for years they get turned down again and again and again and again and again. And it's because they started pitching like right away. Yeah. So they didn't kind of get ready for the pitch. Whereas with me, what I do is it takes a few weeks to even prepare the message. And part of what we're doing is getting them ready to actually get invited, right? But the other part is showing them that, hey, the market is really responding quite well to this message. See, like real people who don't know you, don't care about you, are resonating with this message. So that gives them the confidence to send the application, to risk rejection, both from the organizer and from really themselves and the audience when they deliver the talk itself on stage.
I'd be remiss if I didn't step back. Sorry, folks, because I assume everybody knows what a TEDx is. Do you mind just giving us like the 1 minute encapsulation? What is a TEDx?
It's an acronym, Technology, Entertainment, Design. Started in California in '84, I think. And people may know the brand TED Talks. Basically, the smartest people in the world have delivered a TEDx talk. So we're talking famous politicians, Al Gore, people that are kind of well known in the speaking space, like Tony Robbins. We're talking major celebrities. Bill Gates, of course, as well, has done a TEDx talk. Richard Branson's done a few, or rather TED Talks. And then TEDx is the local platform. So there's one TED event that happens every year now in Vancouver. And the local TEDx event, TEDx Toronto, TEDx London, TEDx New York, TEDx, Amsterdam, whatever. It's a general speaking opportunity, and so it's not just a marketing conference. It's not just a relationships conference or a business conference. It's for big ideas for the world. The cool thing about the platform is on YouTube. So number one, it's internationally recognized. Right? So I've traveled all around the world. I've been to 58 countries. And actually most places I've been to that are outside of North America, the brand TEDx is more well recognized than TED. And so it's cool. Like if you want to do business internationally or speak internationally, have clients internationally, they will all, if you say, oh, I spoke at like Joe's marketing conference, even if you got paid 20 grand, they have never heard of Joe's marketing conference, right? If you say, I spoke at a TEDx event, they go, oh my God, can I see the video? They're guaranteed whatever executive you're talking to, their children watch TEDx talks for university. Their chances are their wife or their friends will watch it on weekends for fun. There's billions of people, or the TEDx channel, I think, is over 1 or 2 billion views now on YouTube. So it's very popular. However, you do have to make sure the quality is high in the events. So just like, any kind of blog or newspaper or speaking event that you would help somebody get to, just because it's a conference doesn't mean it's a good conference. It could be a dinky conference with no videography and, and things like that. And TEDx is the same. It's run by local entrepreneurs who are independent. They're not TED employees. So that means there's no funding coming from TED either. And things like a big conference hall or videography, those are expensive things. Yeah. So the quality of those events does vary considerably. And that's why it's so important to pursue the best TEDx events, right? Not the kind of the small ones. Some of them aren't even filmed. Actually, a big chunk of them aren't even filmed. And some of them, like the video looks really bad. I've shown some clients like, hey, this is the difference between A and B. And they've gone, wow, this one looks like it was filmed on someone's cell phone. And like the stage, like this, like the sign normally has like the big TED letters. Right. Honestly, some of them, it looks like someone just took a piece of paper and got like a Sharpie marker and drew it on a piece of paper.
Oh my gosh.
So the quality is really important because honestly, I think if you get if you speak at a bad conference, and if you don't look at this beforehand, you might show up on event day and be surprised by this.
Yeah.
You speak at a bad conference, you don't own the video. Like the video goes up on their YouTube channel. You can never take it down,
right,
even though you're the speaker. So imagine publishing a book with a spelling mistake on the cover and like a really lousy looking cover. It could ruin your reputation, because you want your clients to think of you as a professional, of someone who's got their stuff together, of someone who's going to deliver a high value service to them, your customer. If they then see that you've got stuff online that looks unprofessional, or looks like kind of fake, then if you want, you want to have control of that, but you can't if you do a TEDx talk in a poorly run venue, which
it's like it's like anything. It's quality. And it's one thing to say I did a TEDx, but if it looks like you did it in somebody's backyard, that's probably not a great thing.
No.
So it's like, is it still, what is it, about 18 minutes? How long is the talk?
Yeah, it has to be less than 18 minutes. That doesn't mean that it has to be exactly 18. There are some, like I have a client who did a talk at this big event in Buenos Aires in Argentina. It's all in Spanish, so people speak Spanish, they can watch it. But 10,000 people in the room, he did a 3-minute talk. So there's actually time that you can do that are shorter. I think it takes quite a lot of skill actually to do a really short talk. Yeah. But actually the performance, I've done an analysis of like I have a programming background. So, and I analyze 100 and something thousand videos, and the longer it is, the better in terms of performance, average median performance. So yeah, it can be short. It can be up to 18 minutes.
Okay. Well, and I appreciate all this background here. And in the time we have left, I wanted to ask you, Ryan, so, okay, we'll just pretend it's me. Okay. I've got something percolating, been wanting to talk about it a while. So I need you to help me move the ball forward here. Sure. So what's it look like? If you could, I don't need you to go through every detail, but if you could just kind of break down, people out there listening, if either for themselves or for their clients, want to call you and say, hey, this is what's going on. I guess it would help for me, first of all, one, what kind of clients do you want to talk to? And then two, what's the steps to go through?
Sure. So number one, I want to talk to people who already, they're already good at what they do. So they're not like beginning as an entrepreneur and they think this is like the fast track to business success. They're already getting results for clients. They're already, other people that are not them and not their mom think, hey, like you're quite good at this. And that could look like customers and testimonials on their work. That could also look like they published a blog post and that got featured in Forbes, right? Where there's some kind of external validation of their stuff. Or they publish a blog post on their own site and people like, oh my God, like this is the best written thing I've read all year. Like this changed my life. All of a sudden, boom, like that's a sign that we got to get this out there. But it could also be just, hey, I've got this client methodology that I walk people through and it works really well. And I feel like a best kept secret. I feel like if people only knew how good I was at what I did, I would get this massive influx of clients and credibility. But I'm having a hard time articulating to the outside world what this big thing is that they can apply, that other people can apply without just giving away like all of my stuff. Because you know what's out there. So that's who I want to talk to. They don't have to be a professional speaker. It's a bonus if they are, certainly if they're really comfortable on stage like you are, Alex. But honestly, for me, my TEDx talk was my first talk I ever did. So, don't tell anybody.
Oh my gosh.
And that's pretty similar for some of my clients where they don't have a Twitter account at all, let alone a following. Maybe they've done a podcast or two, but they're confident enough telling people about what they believe, but their TEDx talk is like their first or second talk, like other than a couple of networking events here and there. So anyway, that's who I want to talk to. And then, man, you got this. I wish people could see the video. You got this shocked look on your face, like, oh God, like, you mean this guy's so unqualified? He's getting these amazing opportunities. Okay, so all right. So what do we do? Well, first off, we got to recognize that these amazing opportunities, these like high quality events we want to be speaking at, it does take some work, and it's a long journey. So between the time that you apply and the video coming up on YouTube is about 8 months. With like videography, editing, and there's a selection process before. So we want to make sure that investment is well spent, period. First step I would ask is, hey, like Alex, what are your long-term goals? Like you're doing a TEDx talk, why? And the answer could be, I've got this book launch coming up. Like I want to launch the book. Wonderful. Your topic has to be about the book somehow or about the concept behind the book. Otherwise, no one's going to just Google you and say, oh, he's got a book. And he talked about his relationship with his dog, but he's got a leadership book. So like, I'll buy his book. They're not going to make that link. You have to be really clear in the talk. So the talk has to line up with your goals and objectives. There's no right or wrong answer for that. It just, so that's the kind of the first thing I would ask people. And then there's a few week process. It takes people I work with 3 to 4 weeks. And what I'm doing in that 3 to 4 weeks with them is I'm sending them off to say, all right, Alex, we're starting with a sentence of your talk idea. We're testing a few different iterations of it. And I have you do little market research tests. You come back to me with the data and I say, all right, it seems like people are like, you're saying this. It seems like a lot of people they thought you meant this, or they're saying this. Like, does that line up with your experience? And you might say, oh yeah, I've got a bunch of coaching clients that say this, or that kind of lines up with here. And so we're using those tests to steer the direction of the core idea. And we're doing that in stages. Really what we're doing is like Kickstarter for ideas. We're using not the data of who likes it, because I don't care if people like it or not. I want people to be impacted by it and provide value to them, right? The feedback you don't want to do is, hey, do you guys like this idea? Or what title do you like the best? That's like saying, hey, I have a business idea. Do you like my business idea? Not good, right? You want people to buy your thing. You don't want people to go, I like this business idea. That sounds cool. And ideas are the same. You want people to take action and to change their beliefs and minds about the world, not just go, yeah, this sounds interesting. I like this title, right? So that's what we're doing. That leads to you sending in the pitch. Oh, so by the way, the purpose of those tests is 2 things. Number 1, it's to work on you. So I need to give you, Alex, the confidence that if I make this big investment over months and months and months, and then deliver this talk on a high stakes stage, this is really going to work, and it's going to really work well, and people are really going to love it and be impacted by it, and my investment will pay off, either in terms of cultural impact or credibility for your business or exposure or what have you, right? We're also, the purpose of those tests too is we're not just impacting you, right? We're impacting the TEDx organizers who are selecting you, and you've got about the same odds of getting in there as you do in Harvard. So we need to do a really good job there, right? So that's not, I mean, even if people are not afraid of rejection, we actually do have to get you the opportunity at some point, right?
Right.
So that's the second stage, is you getting invited. And then the last piece we've got to do is I teach you about how do you prepare this talk. So even if people are confident speakers, they may never have memorized a talk before. So for some people that could be a bit nerve-wracking. And then also there's just some things that I have to do to make sure that they know all the things they have to do on the stage. So for people that are used to being filmed, they know these things already, but like, you know, you don't wear all white, you don't wear all black, you don't wear kind of loud patterns or jangly, earrings and things like that. So there's things like that. And like, what's the color of the stage? Is the stage lit or dark? I want people to go into that experience and they know all the details. They're like, I got this, in the same way that like I went into doing an Ironman. Like I had a coach and I was prepared. And you show up on a race day and you're like, wow, I've spent 9 months working out twice a day hard, but I know I'm ready because I've been told everything that I can think of. So anyway, that's the process. I guess the thing that I like this analogy of like the marathon, like feeling ready at the beginning versus getting ready. We have to get ready for someone to do a TEDx talk, but they can get ready. I mean, most people, if they've got testimonials, they're like, yeah, people love my work. I'm experienced. Like I know my stuff. They can get ready to get invited in, 3-4 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So we're talking soup to nuts here. You're going to, if I hear you correctly, somebody comes to evaluate the idea, first of all. And I think you would obviously say, i.e., that's probably not probably going to make it, but we can do some market testing and see if we can tweak it. That sounds like what I'm hearing.
Well, I mean, there honestly, yeah, like there's 30% of people that come to me. I say, I would love to talk to you in 6 months after you do things, right? I think a lot of your listeners, like for example, like the kind of person where I would say, I think you should like do these things first and then come back to me. I don't even say like, I can't have any of your money. Like they don't get to know the price. They don't get to know any details about the program, nothing. Are the kind of people who they say, okay, I used to be a lawyer, hated being a lawyer, and I want to start a new business. I want to inspire people, but I don't know how yet. I don't know what I'm going to like. Oh, I want to inspire people and cause change. Well, like, what kind of change? You want to change their relationships or their health or their marketing or their business? So for someone who's unsure specifically what they want to be doing in like 5 years time, for example, for that kind of person, I have to have them solve what direction does my life take separate from me, because I want them to be pretty certain that they want to be in a particular industry or they really feel passionately about a cause. And they're still going to feel that way in a few years' time. But for people that are already good at what they do, and they're like, yeah, I know I want to do something related to this book or this business, right? I know it's one of these things. Then what we do is test that out, and we're using that data as well to steer the direction of the talk, for sure. So yes.
Okay, last question.
Sure.
This is aimed directly at my PR brethren and sister. What if, Ryan, we think our CEO or our client would be great for this? Do you advise us going to them and saying, I think you should really consider this? Now, bearing in mind, I've heard everything you said today about who should and what, but the question we're going to get from PR folks in particular, who are always looking for that next level opportunity for their client.
Yeah.
Have you run into that, first of all? And second of all, does it change how you approach it at all?
You mean if they have a PR person? I mean, so if the client has hired a PR person, I mean, they're obviously trying to save some time and have somebody else get them opportunities, right? I mean, so there's benefits. I think there's benefits in two places. Obviously, there's benefits for the client because they get to do this TEDx talk, right? It's a great opportunity. There's also benefits for the PR person. I mean, imagine how much easier it's going to be pitching a client who's already got that level of credibility. Like they can say, hey, I got a client who's a TEDx speaker. Dude, all of a sudden, every other opportunity you pitch for that client is going to be easier. So that's going to make your relationship with your client so much more valuable, because every moment of your day, as your just hit rate is higher, you can get them better opportunities and you can get more opportunities because they have a really good sample of your stuff. So yeah, so I've seen a lot of, I've had people, when I was organizing a TEDx event, I had PR people pitch me. Honestly, a lot of them didn't do a great job because they were pitching a TEDx event as if they were pitching en masse 1,000 events. And I don't know if they realized just how competitive these TEDx events can be. So the one thing I would say to PR people is, yes, your client can probably do a TEDx talk, but you're going to have to spend, it's going to be harder. You have to spend more time preparing that pitch than a pitch that you would you kind of like scattershot and do the numbers approach for other things. Because keeping in mind, like just to give you some context, like that TEDx event that you're pitching, they have 200 pitches plus. So, and they're selecting about 10 speakers. So every single one of those speakers is good at what they do. They're all CEOs. They're all authors. They all passionate about their thing. And so, if you don't get any love, or, you get turned down and you get no feedback, which you're not going to, because if you've got 200 people that you're turning down, like you don't have time to give reasons why. You just say, no, sorry. If you get turned down, like, don't be discouraged. It's there. You got turned down because your pitch wasn't properly done. You can reach out to me and we can talk about that. The one thing I would do is like, I have to work at some point with the end client because they have to actually do the talk. And they're going to have to talk to the TEDx organizer if they make it through the first stage of the application process. So they don't just do one stage. It's not like, hey, we saw your thing, we saw your email from your PR person. Yes, you're booked, you're in. It's not that easy.
Right.
So I have to make sure that the end client, the speaker, is prepared. And as part of that process, we have to do that market research part that we talked about. And so so far I haven't found a case where it works better if a third party is doing it, because really what we're doing is like getting the expertise of the founder, of the CEO, of the main person. And honestly, if you do play the numbers game for a high quality TEDx event, that person will probably get turned down in the second stage once they have a Zoom meeting or Skype meeting or something with the organizer, if that person is not prepared. So that, and in terms of setting expectations, it's going to take longer on the pitch side. So for me, it's a couple of weeks, right? And I've done a TEDx talk, selected speakers myself and my client, like 50% hit rate. I don't know what people are getting typically, but it's pretty good when you've got Harvard level kind of odds and half of them are getting invited. I mean, I think it's pretty good. The alternative, by the way, is like, I know people who insist on, and they basically act as a PR agency. They will apply for a bunch of events on someone's behalf. Their hit rate, by the way, is they insist on 50 to 60 events they have to apply for to get one invitation.
Wow.
So that approach may work better for a super, super, super busy CEO. The downside, though, is if you think about the message itself, if you have to apply to 60 events to get one to say yes, those 59 events, they're telling you some really important data. They're telling you 59 people are telling you, 59 committees of people, not even just one person, groups of people are telling you, we don't think that if this message was spread on the stage, that it would be a good fit for our audience. So they're thinking on behalf of their audience. The thing with a TEDx event or a TEDx talk is not just, it's unlike a lot of other opportunities. This is not kind of the day of media. It's a filmed event and people watch TED Talks for years and years and years afterwards.
Right.
So I would be thinking about this strategically as more of like a book. You want to invest, it makes sense to invest upfront in the content because the longevity of that content is very long.
Yeah.
Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna use that content, not just the brand of TEDx, but the actual message inside of it to get your clients other opportunities, right? Forever. So I would say that in terms of like setting expectations with both the PR people and the client.
Ryan, if people want to learn more, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can email me directly, Ryan@viralmessagelab.com. And if you listen to this whole thing and you're serious enough to do it, and if you have questions about it, we can set up a call and talk about questions. If you are not sure if you can do it or not, or valuable for you, where you're at strategically in your business right now, just ask me. Right, I'm good to go.
Oh, that sounds fantastic, folks. If you've got high stakes content, you can go to this gentleman and get some confidence and get some know-how, and sometimes maybe some tough love, I think, to let you know how to, give you the best possible shot. So it's really great. Ryan Hildebrandt, thanks again for appearing with us here in the virtual lounge.
Thanks, Alex. It's been fun.
Oh, you know what that means? Looks like it's last call here at your virtual lounge for PR news, views, and interviews. Don't forget, you can ask me a question anytime. You can do it through our Twitter account, which is @HoursPR, or even better, you can send me a message vocally. I would love to hear your voice, and I'll answer it on the show. There's a link in the show notes. All you have to do is sign up through Anchor FM. It's free, doesn't take long, and you record your message. I get the message. I will play your audio. Just give me your first name and the city you live in, and then I will answer the question to the best of my ability right here on the show. Don't forget to, if you're enjoying this podcast, you can support it and help increase the frequency and value of the show. Just consider being a sponsor for your brand or your agency or just yourself because you're like, I like this show. Or just drop a few coins in the virtual tip jar. Either way, there's links in the show notes. Please check that out. All of that, of course, being in the show notes where you're listening right now or at prafterhours.com. I see that they're turning up the lights. Last call is over, and I've got to clean up this virtual lounge. And Until next time, I'm Alex Greenwood, and you've been listening to PR After Hours on Anchor FM.